USA Today, I mentioned this and I need to hit it. Marines looking at deploying aboard foreign ships. Now, this is what Obama has done to the United States Marine Corps. And has the Commandant of the Marine Corps resigned over it? No. Faced with a shortage of U.S. Navy ships. Now, why do we have a shortage of U.S. naval ships? We don't have a shortage of food stamps. We don't have a shortage of subsidies for illegal aliens. We don't have a shortage of taxpayer money to ferry Michelle and her kids and her mother all around the world. We don't have a shortage to do whatever Obama wants to do, but we have a shortage of U.S. naval ships to take the Marines where the Marines need to go. Faced with a shortage of U.S. Navy ships, the Marine Corps is exploring a plan to deploy its forces aboard foreign vessels to ensure they can respond quickly to global crises around Europe and Western Africa. Now, we need the Russians to get us to our space station because he canceled the shuttle. And now we need foreign governments to get our Marines where they need to go. Meanwhile, the Chinese are building a navy of 360, 370 ships. The Russians are on the move. The Iranians are even building submarines. And look what we're doing. We're disarming. Unilaterally disarming. Our enemies couldn't do a better job of disarming our military. The initiative is a stopgap way to deploy Marines aboard ships overseas until more American vessels are available, said Brigadier General Norman Cooling, Deputy Commander, U.S. Marine Corps Forces Europe and Africa. The Marines will be able to respond quickly to evacuate embassies or protect U.S. property and citizens, a need highlighted by the 2012 attack. To evacuate embassies and protect U.S. property and citizens? How about killing the enemy? There's no substitute for U.S. amphibious vessels, Cooling said. We're looking at other options in the meantime, he added. The Marines have been working with Spain. Oh, for crying out loud. Spain, Italy, the UK, and other close allies to determine the suitability of foreign ships for U.S. personnel and aircraft. I have never been so ashamed and disgusted of an American president in my life. This guy's 100 times worse than Jimmy Carter. That's right, I said it. I have never been so ashamed and disgusted with an American president in my life. The Marines have been working with these countries. The units would be designed for limited operations and not major amphibious assaults. A ground force of about 100 to 120 Marines would be deployed. Whatever. And where are our tough military brass? Where are they? Well, they like being military brass, so they're nowhere. But what about their soldiers and their airmen? What about their Marines? What about their sailors? Why don't they look out for them? It's time that they speak out. Not after they retire, but while they're in uniform, with all those medals and all those ribbons on their chest. It's time to speak out now and let the chips fall where they may. The country needs leaders, citizen and military alike. The government has never spent so much money, and the military hasn't been this robbed of resources and manpower since World War I. Since before World War I. And you young people out there, people under 35, people under 40, people under 45, let me say this so the backbenchers can repeat it tomorrow. You should be more concerned than anybody else, because in the end you fight these wars. And after presidents like this, who create provocations by unilaterally disarming, so enemies misjudge the American people, while they accurately judge a pathetic man like this one, it ultimately leads to war, which could have been avoidable if the enemy had been contained. You should be more concerned than anybody, because 57-year-olds like me, 60-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 50-year-olds, they don't fight the wars. You do. And while we have an all-volunteer military right now, if conditions present themselves where it's not enough, there will be a draft, and you will be drafted. That's what happens when you have a foreign policy of the sort that we have, the hollowing out of the military the way this president is conducting himself now. That's what happens.